demos with a string section or whatever. I don't know. Like 2 weeks, it's just like this, and then we don't necessarily do it again. Or if we really like it, we can. Now we know how to do it, and later on we can book another one like that or whatever.
Yeah.
But the nature of our band, like it's hard to get. It was hard to get either figure out like, okay, if I'm gonna tour. I never even considered touring solo before, which a lot of the people that are in bands, it was like, oh, the band goes out, they tour as a record, then the guy does maybe like a solo run, and then they do some more touring.
Do you sing a songwriter thing, go back to the band.
And we just kind of were always hitting it so hard that it kind of wasn't really a lot of time or real energy or will to do that kind of stuff, where it was like, what if we take our stuff and just throw it in a blender and just do something completely different, and we'll do all that work for just, 2 weeks or something,
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean, right now, like, it's as far as like the solo thing, it's just me. So, if I want to work, 24 hours a day during the Christmas holidays, I can, and and like, it's either good or it's bad. Like that's. I love it. I'm stoked about it, and the thing that kind of just having that freedom, just do whatever I want, is clutch for me right now. Like, because I kind of hit, you hit some point. We never were making so much money that I would call like our band some sort of like we weren't like an industry or something, but it was everybody's job, and it was. Difficult to disconnect, like to kind of go like, okay, this is art, this is job, this is a conversation I have to have, this is a conversation I want to have, this is fun, this is just straight up, 9 to 5, whatever, and it got to the point. It's gotten to the point for me that I honestly think that artists aren't doing their job. Like, art is not doing its job right now. Everyone thinks it should be making money. Everyone kind of, not everyone, I can't say everyone, but it feels like in the post or in the middle of social media age or whatever, like success is popularity and making money and things like that. And art gets thrown into that too.
Right.
And so it's kind of like, well, you're not good at music because no one knows about you, or you're not good at music because no one is paying you for it. People like the idea of you being monetized or something, and like, and in my world, it was kind of like, well, I don't like that band. Growing up, I was like, I don't like that band. They're popular,
right?
And like, I don't understand how we've completely. I mean, whatever, like. Social norms change, like kids change. I'm not sitting here going like, back in my day, we all liked anger. There's no one angry. But also, why aren't kids angry, And like, why aren't we, there's one teenager from a different country sailing around going like, the world's on fire. And all the other kids are just like, oh, I've got Tinder and, Fortnite. Like, like stop
true.
Being distracted and listening to music that supplements your anger and grief and sort of the anxiety and awfulness of being both young and alive and human and aware of all the weirdness. That is what I want art to be. I mean, art can be celebratory and great and positive too. I'm not saying that it all has to be like but even in itself, even in the form of itself, even potentially of something like a tour by someone like me going out and be like, hey, here's a bunch of keyboards and sequences and, drum beats on like 1990 technology. Like, I hate Americana. I think the South should not rise again. I like shove your flag up your ass. Like, I hate this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it should be confrontational and sort of like pushing buttons, and I think everybody wants to possibly get on a like Toyota truck month commercial, and that's what they care about more than friggin'
like a rock, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
like a rock.
That being said, I love Toyota trucks. So got some really good ideas.
You didn't get a Toyota truck commercial yet? You didn't?
No.
Damn, man. So real quick, we'll just wrap this up a little bit because I'm definitely that's exciting about the tour, and I think that people should definitely go out and see you do your thing because it's going to be something that maybe you as the artist and the people in the audience may never experience again. Honestly, this is a one-time kind of thing.
Potentially,
you know.
I mean, I think that's supposed to be the indication in the title of the whole thing. Is like, I guess that's. I didn't even get really to that point. The thing that happened was, so I booked this tour.
Yeah.
Then I the whatever you want to call it, muse comes upon you, and I'm like, it's going to be called A Single Dose of Strangeness. And then it was like, okay, well, what does that mean? I was like, I don't know. And then I called Joey. I was like, hey, I need to take a picture for this thing. And we construct like 2 or 3 little scenarios that I'd kind of envisioned or came up with that day, you know? And then it was like, okay, well, that's kind of now a part of, like, what people are seeing is a part of the tour. Mm. So it's like I booked the tour, named the tour, put the promotional stuff for the tour together, and now and then I started writing new songs and rewriting or rearranging old songs to fit that.
You're doing a tour in reverse.
Yes. Basically.
Straight up. That is a tour in reverse.
Yeah.
There have been, I think U2, when they did the pop album, they booked the tour before they were finished with the album.
Right.
And the first show they did, they were not good, I guess.
Yes.
Because they couldn't even, they were finishing up the songs for the tour that was promoting the album.
Right.
That came out a month before the tour started. It's crazy.
That tour is The Wizard of Oz, and my music will be The Dark Side of the Moon that you can play along to that first show of U2, where you're just, it's like, that doesn't work.
Yeah. Bring your own acid. This is gonna be an amazing show, guys. I'm telling you.
So that's kind of, I mean, that's honestly been like, I think is what I was getting at about when I was saying stuff about Pom Pom. I was like, I think stuff should be risky. I think you should potentially, it should go off the rails. Like you should, and then if it doesn't, that's amazing. And if it does, it's like, well, yeah, you're seeing behind the curtain or whatever. But like, if it's not, if it's not pushing you all the way out there to that point where it's like I can just hold on, then like you don't know what, like you're just going to do what you do in rehearsal.
It's criminal, it's criminal, it's built in your name. It's one hand squeezing on the lemons of pain. I'm gonna do this by myself. I'm gonna do this by myself. Yes, I am. I'm gonna do this by myself.
Right.
You know? Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like-
exactly. And
it's
that's
like, okay, well, this is enough.
You've
know?
done that. You know what I
I
mean?
have.
You've done
I
a
have.
lot of that. And the guys that you have in Pom Pom, especially, those three dudes are experienced with that kind of music.
Yeah.
That has gone off. You know, especially with Raphael and Carper.
They're
both
familiar with the rails.
They're
and how to
familiar
go
with
off
the
of them.
rails. They've broken them. They've crashed into them. They've set them on fire.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they slept with them at certain points.
Yes.
They've hung out with those rails.
Yeah.
They've licked the rails.
Yes.
And they've been experienced in a lot of different kinds of music, especially being in the Southern Bells for a couple years. Those
Yeah.
guys. So those guys know about risk. They
Right.
go. I mean, they played 15, 20, 25-minute long songs. Like,
Right.
they're amazing. And I love the Southern Bells. Shout outs to them. I just saw Tommy Booker today. He's the greatest. Their keyboard player. But so all right. So I wanted to close out on a couple questions, just like lighthearted ish, whatever.
Okay.
Number one, going through again the research.
No comment.
Well, you know what? Fuck it. Did you meet Artie Lang?
I did. Yeah. Yeah, we did Artie Lang's show.
You did the Artie Lang
Yeah.
show, and
Yeah.
that was a cool show. I like that
Yeah.
show, the direct TV show, and that performance of Heavy Bells that you guys do on there is crushing. Like, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And so do you have a good Artie Lang story?
Not really. I mean, he was nice to us. Apparently, he's one of those. We were so just nonstop at that point when we did his show. Like, it was kind of like we didn't really have a tour manager or whatever, so we were rolling. We were just kind of like both touring on our own, but having to like sleep for an hour, get up and drive to some radio station thing, and all the TV shows shoot at like, or you have to load in at 4
Early, yeah.
and they'd always be